Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everybody
Thank
today?
you for coming.
Hi, Bill.
Yeah.
Susan was
Yeah.
just, we were talking about school choice, and we just wanted to hear from you too about some other things that are going on related to business that you're excited about or concerned about, or that should be on our radar. And then we have a couple of specific just things we wanted to point out from our membership, if we have time for it.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, guys. And Julie, I'll let you guys go and talk with Bill. And I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon.
Sounds good.
But
Thank
I
you,
haven't-
Susan.
Yes, ma'am. I got a training to head over to. So again, have a good day and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great.
Thanks, Susan.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Aside from what she's probably already talked to you guys about, yeah, we do have related bit. I was just in the ag meeting for a bill that I presented. It was just a simple transfer of property from Department of Wildlife Resources to the Battlefield Association in that same area that they have property. But one item that I just heard that might be of interest to you guys is we're starting to clean up or make department DEQ a little more efficient, if you will. We're trying to do that across the boards. I'm on DMV. I'm the chair of DMV subcommittee for transportation. And there's going to be not so much this session, but next session we'll be doing a lot of it's not really house cleaning. It's more of making it more efficient, making DMV more user-friendly to the public. I would say Virginia Employment Commission's in the same bucket. So a lot of these agencies, though they do good things and it's all intended and well and purpose, COVID really kind of accelerated the issues with those agencies. And so we're going to push harder to either privatize some of those services or outsource it to a different agency so that their level of customer service is a little bit better received and more efficient. So I would say that's probably a hot button with us right now from a business standpoint. Trying to think of some other things. Certainly, right to work is all in good shape. We're very happy that we kept that in place for the Commonwealth. We will continue to press forward to make business-friendly communities and helping out small business, considering what's going on with COVID.
What about the minimum wage? Where do you see that?
So we put a freeze on in terms of the hikes on that. It'll be interesting. I say all these great things that we're doing, but we got to remember that, being a checks and balances, the government that we're in, it's got to get kicked over to the Senate. And it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. We will be doing some horse trading in terms of things that they might want and things that we need. So this will have to play out here, certainly by the end. Let's see, the 15th is when we cross over. So we'll receive their bills and go through it accordingly. But there's that stadium bill that's coming up in regards to the football for I guess the Redskins, trying to get them into the state of Virginia for a stadium. I'm not a big proponent of that necessarily, like others in our caucus. And the real reason is it just takes away from monies for our district, and transportation and other things that it's going to impact that would help us would get diverted to an opportunity like that. And certainly there's an economic piece to that, but not a big fan of that. But we're going to hash through that and work on some other things. But I can tell you from I-81 standpoint, I am working with the chair and transportation, Delegate Austin, and we're working on some things to help further accelerate improvements on that road system. There's more to come. I can't really divulge what we're working on, but we've got some good things that we're going to put forward. We've got the Valley delegates and senators locking arms right now, and we're going to huddle and really put together some good legislation to really get 81 back up to where it needs to be. Granted, it's going to take a while in terms of the improvements, but we're very encouraged about what we're trying to tackle there. So I'm very excited for that.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
And we're excited about the small business for the healthcare consortiums for small business.
Yeah, we got that through for real estate folks, realtors, and we did one for also small business. We're excited to see that go through. That was one thing that made it through last year, but then got nixed by the governor. So we're really excited to get that bill pushed through.
Great. And I will let a couple of people had some questions. Deb Taylor from NW
Hi, Deb.
Works, if you wanted to.
Hey, Bill.
How are
So
you?
I'm good, and Susan's wonderful. When I saw her a couple of weeks ago,
Thank you.
she was passing along some information. So I'm a board member of the Virginia Access group here in Winchester, which is the Virginia Association of Community Rehabilitation. And we are requesting support to fully fund the rate rebase for providers of DD waiver services.
Okay.
There was a study supported and requested actually to be done by Burns and Associates. And there is money in the budget from the former governor that was budgeted for 8 different services at the 50th percentile of the BLS. And what we're requesting is that additional services be added at the 75th percentile. So the bottom line is that Senator, let me get to this here, Senator Hanger is supporting SB 30, and Delegate Sickles is supporting the HB 30 to add funding across the biennium for rate increases. Anyone that is part of Medicaid reimbursements, if you will, for supports that we provide at NW Works, also Grafton services, Timber Ridge may be impacted by. There hasn't been a Medicaid rate rebase in years, and all we're asking for is that the rebase come up to inflation and living wages to be met, so that we can hire folks to support the disability community the way that they need to be supported. I will say that if the rates don't come up, we'll lose staff. There's programs already shutting down in the state of Virginia because of either hiring or because the rates are not supporting the programs. And that's just going to continue. And the organization is calling this the DD Rescue Plan, because if not now, when there's money to be spent, when is it going to happen? Because we've been waiting for years for this to come into play. So we're asking for to the tune of a little $168 million, but it's only a $44 million, I say only a $44 million difference between what was already in the former governor's budget to where we could get to fund all of the rates that need to be funded. The last real quick thing I'll mention is that there was a temporary rate increase that was put in place, 12.5%, that is supposed to end June 30th. And if that rate ends, then I'm going to have to, as an organization, pass along rate increases to the businesses that we do business with locally, such as HP Hood, Rubbermaid, Trex, Melnor, Mid-Atlantic, and increase the contract rates to the contracts that we have with our local businesses. And I'll have to pass those rates on if that 12.5% doesn't sustain this budget year.
Well received.
So Susan has the copy of the documents. I just sent some documents over to Julie also. I know
Okay.
there's some confusion because there's actually 13 bills on the table around this, but the primary important bill that we're looking at that we need in place we're asking for the caucus to support is 30. It's HB 30 and SB 30, Senator Hanger and Delegate Sickles supporting.
Okay.
So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and that's great. Senator Hangers, certainly I've worked with him on some bills. He's of course, he's also a Valley guy, and you've got a good person championing that, and I look forward to seeing it Delegate Knight on our side, of course, who heads up appropriations, is leading the charge for HB 30. So I will make sure that your information gets to him in a proper form. Certainly, there's been a lot of requests for monies, but certainly your voice will be heard in terms of your request.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks. On that same note, I think this issue affects NW Works as well, but Julie Farrell from Timber Ridge School was going to bring this up and she had to jump off. But I know there's a Senate bill, which is 577, sponsored by Mason, that speeds up the background checks for child care providers and other services because they're having a really hard time hiring. Yeah. Because of how long it's been taking. So just wanted to throw that out there, an issue that affects a couple of our members, if you can keep an eye out on that.
We had a bill, it's funny you say that because with COVID, you know, terrible things have happened with that, but there's actually some good things that have come out of that. And what I mean by that is it's actually sped up things that we need done. It just this time it's really kind of said, okay, we need to get this done, particularly in labor shortages. So like for nurse practitioners, there's another one. There was a bill that came through that's going now to the floor in regards to the requirements from some of these nursing homes have X amount of staff. Now we're kind of pulling that down in order that they can meet the calls so that they don't have to get in trouble with you know, the business practices that they do with the state. So we're trying to accommodate it accordingly with that. So there's a theme of what you're talking about that's going out. It's going through the legislation right now to try to help out with that cause. That's a good point.
So I'd like to just comment on that real quick. I think part of this, if you really go back to the root cause to take a look at it, is what you were referencing earlier in terms of agency inefficiencies. And that might actually, you know, when you're looking at the customer service side of agency inefficiencies and the oversight of the agencies, that's part of it. The requirements of licensing and the specifics around those background checks, we want our clients to be safe and the people that we serve to be safe. But making sure that they're staffed and there's a better way, maybe technically, to do a background check at that level, it would help us hire, because right now it's taking anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get background checks. And it's hard enough to find qualified applicants than to have to wait 60 to 90 days. And we've had folks that we've hired, offered jobs to, are in the pipeline to wait. And then they go out and they find a job someplace else in a different field, potentially, which has happened, because they don't have to wait on a background check to support their families.
Good point. Very good points.
Kim, I think on a similar workforce line, I think Kim Herbstreit, did you want to ask him about workforce and housing and if there's any movement there?
Hey, Kim.
Hey, Bill, how's it going? Good to see you.
Drinking from the fire hose. How you doing? All right?
I'm sure. Yeah. Two things, if you can speak to just what's going on and where you at with regards to supporting. I know the Housing Trust Fund, but with regards to affordable and workforce housing, as you know, that's a huge issue. And then the second point, if there's any thoughts you have or work that you're doing with regards to something that could help with the federal mogul property up here.
Good questions. So workforce, we've kind of talked about that in general. We're going to continue to enhance that to try to get people back to work and helping out with the shortages and the like, to try to diminish some of the regulations in place, to, you know, kind of basically just lay off the policies in play and just say, hey, let's get these people back up to snuff with their business. In regards to affordable housing, I think I just commented, HB 843 is a Delegate Bloxham is carrying that bill. It's a tax credit bill for affordable housing to help out, promote opportunities there. We will continue to help find ways to promote affordable housing throughout communities in the state. And I'm not sure where the funding measures are on that right now, Kim, in regards to where they are with the budget. That's not an area that I'm involved with much, but certainly I can find out. But we're going to continue to try to help out with the localities to enhance all different flavors of housing to get built, and to help out with the workforce and the like. You mentioned federal mogul, and that's a good question, because I know I'm going to see the city manager, I think this afternoon. That one, at least my understanding from Sean Hirschberger, is that really it's a play by the owner to really make something happen there. And I talked to Dan about possibly doing some type of grant or assisting with, maybe we can find some monies to help promote the cleanup of that site, because that's really the 800-pound gorilla, the issue there. It costs so much money to clean it up from the owner's end that it's not even worth selling it. So that's the stick-em-a-boo. And so we need to incentivize the owner to help get, if we can give them X amount of money through a grant or some type of state monies to clean up that area, and at least, make some of it be marketable for Winchester. And I know that, Winchester's biggest challenge is land and trying to find available properties to develop. And certainly that's a ripe location. I think that's something I need to speak further with Dan about, and you guys as city council members, to try to figure out how we can tackle that. I only asked for one appropriation need this year, and maybe we can do this next session. I asked for money for mental health, which is a big push for me right now. Certainly it's a mental health crisis in our state. So I'm trying to get more beds in our community to help out with people that have mental illness, so that police aren't impacted and waiting in the emergency room for hours to get these people located so that they can get help. So let's talk further about federal mogul. I think maybe it's a ripe opportunity. And I know Dan has experience from the federal level. We might be able to find some monies there too, to help offset some of the costs to remediate the site.
Yeah, I would appreciate, I think, trying to continue to chip away at this. And, I expect it's going to take 8 or 10 years, but it'll take 10 or 20 years if we're not, continually trying to figure out a way through it. So, I appreciate any, any support or, conversations or whatever. I think it's going to take a lot of brain power to kind of figure out a way through that. But definitely here to support in any way I can, and appreciate your work on it. So thank you.
Yeah, you got it. I'll bring it up with him this afternoon.
Thank you. And can you see, Josh Phelps had a question about the workforce dealing with advanced manufacturing. Can you see those bills on the chat?
So I see the bill. Josh, who's sponsoring these bills? I don't have them memorized. I'm sorry.
You don't? My goodness, there's only like 4,000 of them.
Yeah. HB 565. Do you know who's carrying that bill?
O'Quinn.
O'Quinn. Okay.
And then Monty Mason has got the Senate bill.
Is that a companion bill to the other side?
Yeah, looks like it.
Let's see. Do you guys know where they are in the queue?
I don't know. I just had been alerted to them from my association with Virginia Manufacturers
Okay.
Association, and they pretty excited. It's a pretty big lift. It's not a small ask, and that's why I wasn't sure if anybody that you had heard anything about either one of those. If not, it's fine.
565. I'm pulling it up now.
And Josh, I'll keep my eye on it too, now that I know you're interested in it.
Okay.
You bring up a good point. So yeah, Quinn is carrying it, and right now it's gotten out of subcommittee. It's referred to Committee on Education. No, sorry. Yeah, it reported out 8-1, so it looks like that's it should be in pretty good shape once it hits the floor.
Okay.
This thing's not, it's kind of lagging, but it came out of subcommittee yesterday. And if you have a companion bill, that's great. It's a very smart way to do it from the other side. I do want to encourage everybody here. I don't know if you know how to do this or not. Certainly this was an eye-opening experience for me, not being technologically sound, but you can look at all your bills. You go live, it's in a box. It's on LIS, which is, a public site. And you can set it up to, kind of filter how you want to look at bills based on your business, your need, your focus. And then what it does is it emails you updates pretty much daily. of what's going on with that bill and where it stands, where it is in subcommittee or committee or floor or whatever. It's really helpful, and I've gotten some folks to do that, and they really like it. So that you're not always calling me or my aide and waiting for us to respond. That just kind of helps, keep you updated a little bit more proactively.
That's a good point. I think you can track up to 5 bills for free.
Is
and
that
then
what
you
it
have
does?
to
Yeah,
pay
but it's
after
pretty
that,
good.
but yeah, it is. That's
So
good.
Josh, just to close the loop with you, I think you're in good shape with that. And then the last we have HB 271.
That's Kathy Byron.
Okay.
And that one is just about setting up the compensation structure for
That one
adjunct professors.
That one already went through the floor. I think that's
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, good.
that one's in good shape.
Okay.
So that'll go across to the Senate side, but that doesn't seem to have much issue to it. I think that'll get signed off by the governor.
That'd be great. And then the only other thing I was going to ask about is, what are you hearing is the tax conformity thing with the possibly look back for the PPP funds to be tax conformity with the federal government? Is that kind of dead now?
It's another appropriations question. Let me make a note of that, Josh.
Okay. I heard that
I'll ask the chair of approach and
kind of got stripped down, I think, in committee to where they didn't do their limit increases and they didn't want to look back to 2020, only 2021. So if that's the case, it basically doesn't have any teeth. I'm just curious.
Okay. I'll ask the chair when we go to floor here in about an hour, or at least in caucus, and then I'll text you back. Fair?
That's fine. Thank you.
All right, man. Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you. We aren't going to keep you too much longer. We know you're busy. A couple more
That's
things
okay.
that people wanted to bring up.
Fire away.
Exciting budget amendment for the Winchester Regional Airport. Nick Sabo, if you'd like to just mention that again.
Thank you. Yeah, so just a comment for you, Delegate Wiley. Really appreciate your time last week, and wanted to thank you again for your support of this project. It's going to move forward in one form or fashion or another. We are hopeful for this budget amendment. The reason behind the terminal rebuild, those reasons are sound. So like I said, it's going to happen. It's just how do we want to approach it? We see it as really a generational opportunity to invest in aviation workforce, education, and economic development out here in this region. It's really a regional project since we serve a regional market. So again, I thank you for your support of this project. We are working to get information in front of the appropriations committees on the Senate and the House side, as we have a budget amendment that's been introduced in both houses. So again, just want to thank you for that. Really nothing else to add except for our appreciation for your support.
Yeah, Josh, Nick, good to see you as well. And I can't stress that enough. I think what you're trying to do is very important. I don't know where it is right now in terms of the budget. We won't know that pretty much until the end of session as we tackle the budget.
Yep.
But you said it was Vogel carried it with you and Goditis.
That's right. Yep.
Vogel's, you've got a good one there for the appropriation side. That is one of her committees that she serves on. So you got a good person championing that from that side. So I look forward to hopefully you guys getting what you need for funding on that. Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Bill.
One more budget amendment that I promised I would pick up has to do with Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. Are you familiar with that program?
No, but it sounds interesting. What is that?
It's really cool. It gives children 5 and under a book a month, and she's funding it in Winchester City right now, but it's very limited. So they're trying to grow it. There's an amendment out there where Virginia would fund 50% of the program, and then the Imagination Library would fund the other 50%, just to get more books in the hands of young children, especially those who aren't getting enough books.
That's
So
fantastic.
that's
I like the cause.
volunteers is behind that. And
I'm sorry, who's carrying? Do you know who's carrying that?
I don't. Andy was going to be on and he couldn't, so he sent me a little blurb. Let me see if
you want to, you can send me some information on it, and then I can
do that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it's
there's a lot of moving parts right now, guys. So
I know.
I'm just trying to think of anything else that comes to light that might be pressing that you guys would enjoy from a chamber standpoint. I can't think anything off.
Well, while you're thinking, Bill, we're having our post-legislative event on April the 7th, and I already talked
I
to
think I've
Susan
got
about
that in my, you guys sent me a notice on that, didn't you?
said she was coming, and we invited Governor Youngkin. Jill said that she would put in a good word for us to move it up on his schedule. They said they couldn't tell us until early March whether he can attend. So if you get the
Sure.
opportunity to also, we'd love just to get him to know the region since he hasn't been here. I think
When
that
is
would be
that
really
on?
great.
You said April 7th?
April 7th. We're going to do a luncheon this year just to try to get him here and spend the day with us.
He's a little bit busier than I am. I get it.
Well,
I'll make a note of it right now. Yeah, the cannabis thing. Everybody's one of those what's going on.
yeah.
Cannabis is still alive. It's not going anywhere. But what we're doing is we're tightening up the legislation. The legislation was put into play last year, had a lot of loose ends to it. So what we're doing is we're making it business friendly to all. We're making it no collective bargaining. We're the penalties in terms of you can't have, I think it was a pound of weed was okay to have, or a small misdemeanor. I think we're kind of tightening that down a little bit. There also is some retail cleanup in terms of once it goes active from a business standpoint. We want to make sure that all that law is put into place in right fashion to promote business. So there must have been, I think there were 10 bills I saw just the other day in general that will be coming into committee, in the floor session. So just to give you guys a heads up, it's not going to go anywhere. We are basically just kind of reining it in and kind of cleaning up some of the loose ends on it.
That's good to know. Thank you. And one other thing I was thinking about is Governor Youngkin is making a big push for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And are you seeing a lot of movement on that, or something that you've seen that might be coming down the horizon that we need to keep our eye on now for next session, dealing with any of that?
Yeah, I mean, we have, in mentioning what Josh was bringing up about tax conformity, there is some stuff in there to kind of help out with some of the businesses to help promote business, to get them going again. I can't really speak to the exact bills, but
Okay.
I would just be on the lookout. A lot of it's kind of getting mixed throughout our our caucus, and then certainly with the Senate side. The grocery tax has having some issues. The repeal of that, we're trying to figure out how to make it work. It's okay on our side, but the Senate's having a heartburn about it. They want to put it into study. When you put it into study, it delays it, right? So we're just trying to find ways to speed it up without having to languish in a study or wait till next session. We need it now. So we've got some, I think there was there's some refunds coming in for individuals just to kind of help out with the people that are less privileged and just kind of helping out with people with their bottom line to help pay bills and that sort of thing. So I can't speak of anything specific, but I can tell you that, help is on the way, and we're trying not to delay the action. We're trying to actually, some of this stuff has emergency clauses in it, which means you have to have 80 votes out of 100 to get it through on our side in order that it can get enacted immediately rather than having to wait for the fiscal year to kick in or wait for the following year. So some of this stuff, we've got to be really sharp in terms of how we're putting it into play and making sure it's being done right. And when it's not done right, guys, we usually put a halt to it because we want to make sure it's right. But some of this stuff, we really have to be sharp in getting it out now. So that's what we're trying to do.
Great. And we were supposed to come for Chamber Day last month, and that got postponed or canceled. I haven't heard any reschedule. So we're just going to get a group together and come see you.
Well, I'd love to see you guys. Just let me know when you're coming in so I can at least pigeonhole a time. So yeah, I can't really tell you when I'm available. I just get told where to go, when to go. So, but yeah, throughout the day, I will have little opportunities of time to meet in my office, or certainly I'd love to have you guys come to a meeting or a floor session or a committee meeting just to kind of see how the sausage is made, if you will. It's action packed, but you know, it's exciting. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm elected to go out and do things to help you guys. So that's what we're trying to do.
Well, we appreciate it, and we'll work with Susan and get a date on the calendar and let you know. But we thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I know you're
guys,
busy.
thank you. And it's good to see everybody back home.